sneakers really start in the house. Is really something from the family, something that started in my family. So people just got to know me for just like really wearing some fly shit all the time.
I can get fly, 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 fly. I can get fly, 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 fly. I can get fly, 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 fly.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and my friends call me Jixie. People now, you know, the word collector means that like you buy a lot of sneakers and they sit on a shelf. But for me, collecting is just like collecting anything, like a car, a stamp. You know a lot about what you're collecting. There's a reason you're collecting it. You have passion for it and you use it. So ever since I was a kid, like my parents like sneakers. My parents like to dress really nice. I grew up in the 80s. The 80s was about being fresh and fly, and hip hop was starting to boom. So hip hop was starting to emerge, and with that became the fashion of hip hop, which was like clothes and sneakers, jewelry. So sneakers was just a big part of my life growing up. And as I got older, I just never stopped. And people were telling me, yeah, you'll grow out of it. Oh, it's just a phase. But it's something that I just passionately loved more and more. So when I talk to people, everybody's just like, oh, you love sneakers, because they just hear it in my voice, and it's just a conversation I could carry for hours and days. So I became very well known for just, every time I stepped out the house, I just had sneakers that maybe nobody saw, or, you know, even locally, like I would go uptown to get sneakers that were not in Brooklyn, or vice versa. So people just got to know me for just like really wearing some fly shit all the time. Yeah, so it's like, you know, I don't wear shoes at all. Like I don't even dabble, I don't even try, and I would love to. I look at shoes and I'm like, those are so pretty. I walk really bad in shoes. I look like I'm gonna fall. So I never really tried, and I said, why should I? Like I'm comfortable in sneakers and I love the way I feel. I feel so empowered in sneakers. So I feel, when I'm comfortable, I feel so like empowered. I feel confident. I feel like I'm radiating in fly kicks. So it's like, why do I want to wear shoes? So even when like I go to the clubs, I used to have to pay the bouncers to get in with the sneakers. My friends tell me all the time, you're not getting in with those. I'm like, watch me get in. I get in everywhere with sneakers. There's nowhere in the world that I have not been able to get in with sneakers on, while wearing sneakers. My first memory, my mom, I remember asking my mom for and I've told this story so many times and I love it. Each and every time it feels new to me. I was like 6 years old. There was a girl in school. I actually found this girl on Instagram. Not Instagram, Facebook. So I went to first grade with her. She had on a pair of sneakers and the logo on the sneaker looked like a sun. And I remember seeing that sneaker and saying, I want it. She had a pair in white. And I went home to my mom and I said, Mom, I want the sneakers with the sun on them in white. And she says, on the side? And I said, yeah. She knew immediately what sneaker it was. So the brand was Elysee, and it has like a orange and yellow logo on it. And I wanted a pair of Elysees in white. She brought me a pair in black with the sun, and I was so upset, and I'm like, Ma, why didn't you get the white? That was my first lesson. She goes, because it's winter, you don't wear white sneakers in the winter. And I was like, why? And she goes, they get dirty. She goes, white is more for the summer. So that was like my first sneakerhead lesson. But I'll never forget that, because I literally went home excited and was explaining to her this sun that I interpreted, and it was the logo. I'm Puerto Rican, so we pronounce the E's very heavy. So we pronounce it as Elysee. So as I got older, I've learned to correct how I pronounce that sneaker, but I used to call it Elysees. So I'm like, Ma, I want the sneakers with the sun. And she's like, Elysees, you want a pair of Elysees? So that's like one of my first memories. I have so many as a kid. I remember I wanted a pair of pink and purple Vans. So I wanted both pairs. And I must have been like 9 years old. And I needed to have them. I don't know why. I was like, Ma, I need those Vans. And out of all the sneakers that she used to buy me, she used to buy me a lot of Reebok, a lot of Air Max. I wanted those Vans. I remember at a young age liking different brands. So I remember liking Reebok, I remember liking Vans, I remember liking Elysee. I was always I had like ADD with sneakers. I was always looking at everything that people were not wearing. And I was very interested in that. And that grew, and I think part of it grew because I wore uniform going to school. So we couldn't express ourselves with style. So it just became sneakers was the only way that we could stand out. So I think I always just like to express myself, and I think feet became like the way as a kid. So I think that became a big part of how it just grew and grew to the point where it's like now I have so many, and I have all these stories with sneakers and very personal relationships with my sneakers. Yeah, we used to go on the weekends. I used to go with my father on Saturday mornings. He used to go to the mechanic, fix the cars. I used to say he used to play with cars. So he used to go by my grandfather's garage, and they would fix the cars, and they would do guy things and have a beer, play basketball. And then he would always take me to the avenue, and we would go eat something, grab a pair of sneakers. So it was just routine. At that time, I used to put sneakers on layaway. So you used to put money down on the sneaker, they hold it for you, and you pay it off slowly until you take it out. So every time we used to do that, I would put another pair of sneakers on layaway and just, I'll take them on next week. And my father's like, yeah, you're gonna work for that. Or, he used to make me do chores and all these things for sneakers. So himself, he had a lot of Adidas. My father loved like fat laces. So he had Adidas, he had Pumas. And a lot of people don't know, the fat laces didn't come with the Adidas. That is not how that started. The Pumas had the fat laces, and they would take the laces off the Pumas and put them on the Adidas so that they were fat laces. I used to like to play with my father's laces. He used to have laces that were they were like at least maybe 1.5 inches thick. Like they were so thick. I've never seen them again. I remember them as a kid. And I admired his feet. I used to look at my dad's feet a lot. He used to try on sneakers in the store and do like a stance to fight when he's trying sneakers on. And I'm like, I asked him that later in life because I just thought that that's how he liked to try sneakers on. So my father told me it was because at that time, if you fighting or you're gonna go fight somebody, because it was like always people around in the streets that really was ready to throw their hands up, he would need to be comfortable. So if the sneakers weren't comfortable, then he would consider that why he's gonna lose a fight. So he used to be in the store like bouncing around. So I remember those, they're so funny. And he would call like your feet your dogs. So he'd be like, yo, those dogs are, put those on your dogs. And I'm like, what the hell is the dog? And it was like your feet. So my memories of like sneakers really start in the house is really something from the family, something that started in my family. Now, like my nephew's obsessed with sneakers. Like he's not around me enough for them to say, you did that. No, he's around my father. So I'm like, it's proof that it's you. It's not me. And my nephew's obsessed with sneakers. So is my brother too. But they have an interesting taste. They don't have the same taste as me. And then my father was a DJ. So in the 70s, he used to spin disco. They used to do the hustle and dance. And then my mom was a dancer. My mom was in the street. My mother loved to dance. My mother could hustle. My mother could pop. My mother was just like all around B-girl. She danced freestyle. So with my mother, it was always like really nice sneakers for her that she could dance in. So between the both of them, they both had their style that included sneakers for different reasons. So I learned with them really how to like incorporate sneakers into my everyday life. And I just became a savage. Like at that, like 10 years old, I just remember I remember picturing a lot of sneaker boxes and saying like, I need more, I need a lot. When I was a kid, I used to lock, my sneakers were in a locked closet. I didn't want nobody touching my sneakers. And, I had a lot of like people coming around the house, my cousins, my mom, her friends, my brother, his friends, everybody was always around. I was always paranoid that somebody's gonna like take a sneaker or wear my sneaker. I used to think somebody would wear them and put them back. So I used to lock them in a locked closet. Because my father was like, if you're that paranoid, lock them. I said, I will. So he gave me a great idea. And I had a locked closet for years of all sneakers, I guess in my teens. And then it just got to be too many, so I couldn't lock them anymore. I have a lot of sneakers from like growing up. So I have sneakers in my house, then I have sneakers in storage. I have sneakers in my mom's house, and then I have some sneakers in my dad's house. So it's just like I have sneakers everywhere. But with like my older sneakers, a lot of them deteriorated. A lot of them are now deteriorating, which is driving me crazy right now. It's my newest thing. But I do have a lot of pairs from like early 90s. I even have some from the 80s. And those sneakers are, I try to keep them temperature controlled. I try to take really good care of them. I put coconut oil on them so that they can, the leather could last a little more and be shiny, and treat the leather. So I try to take really good care of them, but it's hard. But I do have still a lot of sneakers, like it's part of what I call my archives. So my collection, I have a section that's just my archives, and I keep them just because maybe I don't see them online. So I have some sneakers that don't exist online. Like I have never seen an article about them. I've never seen anything about them. So I maintain them so that somewhere in my future, I'm gonna be able to like exhibit them or something and do something with them. I've had a pair of sneakers in a museum before because I have an original pair of Reebok Freestyle Highs from '82. So I have an original pair, and that one was in a museum once. Have had brands borrow sneakers back for like displays that they may not have in their vault or in their archives still, because I have some in really good condition. So I've had like those types of relationships where they'll come and they'll borrow some, but I have always prided myself on collecting like women's pieces. So I have like historical women's pieces. I'm trying so hard to hold on to those. They're just like breaking left and right. I wear a pair and it's like, psh, psh, the sole's off. It explodes. I had 3 pairs of sneakers explode this summer. I'm sick. I'm so sick. Right on foot too. They just explode. Psh. I'm like, what is this? And for me, it's not even that the sneaker breaks. Like, I'm not embarrassed by it. For me, it's like I'm sick because that's like such a piece, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like, it's today that it kind of breaks, and I just get stressed out. It happened last weekend, so it's still very fresh to me. Last weekend, I wore a pair of Nike iridescent blazers. They're from 2011. I barely wore them 5 times. When you look at them, they're so white in the inside and crispy. There's nothing wrong with them. So the whole sole popped off clean. And that, I think it's because I cleaned the sneaker before I took it. I went on a trip. Before I took it, I cleaned it. I think the moisture got inside and just finished separating it. And I was like, no. But I am gonna get those restored because they still look so beautiful. They're like, the way they shine, they're just amazing. So I really just love them. And they're a piece for women. 2011 was like a time when they started creating a little more for women. But it was such a good year for like city packs and fashion week sneakers and all these different things that they made for women. There's a big misconception that like they just started making things for women, and they've been making them for a long time. It's just the exposure to it and the fact that men dominate the industry, so we didn't see it at the time at the forefront. But now we see it at the forefront, so it's just a little different. We've been in the building, and I think that's one of the things, like, that's what I always want to, like, my narrative and just me taking up space in the sneaker culture is just to make the point that we've been here. And we've been here collecting sneakers alongside the men at a fast rate with the same intensity and collecting the same rare sneakers that men have been collecting this whole time. And I think my collection is like a testament to that. So my collection literally says that, like, bitch, we've been here, and we've been here for 40 freaking years right alongside the boys, and they've been creating for us. It's just not all of us have had the exposure to be at the forefront or have had the privilege, because it's been really hard. Like, for me, it's been really hard to get out of the shadow of men, especially, like, I wear men's size sneaker. So I play with the boys, you know, I battle the boys and I rival them in collections. So it's like, but then I also have women's pieces, but then I have men's pieces. So it's like my collection is just such a testament to like just being in the game with the boys at the same time as them. There's so many like, and at some point they used to say, oh, you know, but you're rare. And I think there's so many women that are like me. You know, there's so many women who have a story like me, who still collect, who are still like deep into their sneakers, and they don't get to tell their story as often, and they don't get to share this. And I think those are the women I connect with. I connect with like the authentics that really have like a passion and a history within sneakers. But there's so many women now that like they have these great massive collections of things that they love. Like I met this girl, she has Converses. She has like, I think like 500 or 600 pairs of just Converses. Every single collab, every color. So people ask me like, what's the best collection you've seen? That's one of the best collections because it's so curated. And it's such a little niche, little sneaker collection of just like the same thing. It looks majestic because you could see the timeline of Converse from the beginning to the end. So it's just like amazing to see. So I'm very interested in some different people's collections. Because when I think about it and we say like, you know, what makes a good collection? And my first love was a Reebok. You know, my mom would be, well, what color do you want? And I'm like, all of them.
Got a pack in the back and a seat on my left. What you wanna do, baby? You the best. Coming from the east, not the west. Southside got it written on my chest. And